Hello everyone, hope you're all having a wonderful day. Today we'll dive into a heartbreaking chapter where Tu Tien vanishes without a trace, while Jack is forced to balance the biggest Min Hung project of his life with a desperate search to find her. If you enjoy this video, don't forget to hit subscribe so you won't miss the next episodes. In the deep forest where pale light slips through the leaves, Tu Tien pushes open the door of a tiny wooden house. She's soaked, shaking, clothes torn, skin scraped. The door closes behind her with a dull, exhausted thud. "Come in, child. Sit by the fire," an old woman says. Her voice is rough but gentle. She crouches at the hearth, throws on a few sticks of dry wood, and soon a thin flame flares up. Orange light spreads across the room and lands on Tu Tien's face, revealing every bruise and the deep fatigue in her eyes. "My son's gone deeper into the forest," the woman murmurs. "He's away for days at a time. When he's gone, this house is too quiet." The place is bare, bamboo walls, a low bed, a pot, a small green pan. Outside, wind moves through the trees like a distant river. "How long have you lived here, Grandma?" Tu Tien asks, holding her hands out to the fire. "A long time," the woman replies. "Come home, light wood, warm up, cook rice. That's my whole day." She opens a small chest and pulls out a faded shirt, loose pants and worn slippers. "These are charity clothes," she says. "Not pretty, but better than those wet things. Go wash at the stream." The water's cold, but clean. At the stream, the surface reflects a pale, swollen face Tu Tien barely recognizes. She splashes herself clean, teeth chattering, but every handful of icy water makes her feel a little less like a lost shadow and a little more like herself. Inside, the old woman rinses a small cup of rice, drops it into a pot, and lays a thin piece of fish into the green pan. It isn't much for two people, but it's what she has. When Tu Tien returns, she hangs her wet clothes near the door and pulls on the dry ones. "Do you have something I can wear over this?" she asks. "Just for tonight." The woman takes an old striped shirt from a nail. "Wear this," she says. "It's ugly, but it's warm." Smoke, damp wood and frying oil fill the little house. Outside is dark forest, inside is firelight and the quiet clink of chopsticks. "Let me help," Tu Tien says, taking the chopsticks to stir the vegetables. "My son only comes home every few days," the woman says. "Usually I cook and eat alone. Tonight feels different." "Are you afraid, living here alone?" Tu Tien asks. "I was," Grandma answers. "Now I'm more lonely than afraid. Having you here makes the house feel alive again." The simple words sting and soothe at the same time. "Tomorrow we should put medicine on my wounds," Tu Tien says, touching her cheek. "Especially my face. I don't want scars." Grandma chuckles. "Still worried about looks? Good. That means you're not dying. I bought medicine today, came back early and met you. That's fate." They sit on low stools with steaming bowls of rice. The fire pops and cracks. Outside, the forest is black and silent. Inside, it smells of fish, greens and wood smoke. "Eat," Grandma urges. "You look like you haven't had rice in days." "I fainted in the forest," Tu Tien admits. "I don't know how long I walked. This is the first real meal in... I don't even know." Halfway through the bowl, her vision blurs. Tears spill before she can stop them. "What's wrong?" Grandma asks quietly. "I miss my boyfriend," Tu Tien whispers. "I don't know if he knows I'm gone or if he thinks I left him. I don't even know how to get back." "Don't cry on an empty stomach," Grandma says, patting her shoulder. "Eat, rest. Tomorrow you go one step at a time." The road will show itself. After dinner, they wash the dishes quickly at the water jar, fingers stinging in the cold, then return to the fire. The small house smells of smoke and clean metal. For the first time in days, Tu Tien feels almost safe. My son Ki's been gone almost a week, the woman sighs. Rice is nearly finished. When he returns, I'll tell him to buy more. We're both lucky I ended up here, Tu Tien says. If not, I'd still be wandering who knows where. From here to the main road is 5-6 kilometers, Grandma tells her, glancing toward the dark trees. From the road to your home, who knows? Don't think too much tonight. You need strength. I've never gone that far alone, Tu Tien admits. I've never even taken a bus by myself. Tomorrow I'll just have to ask strangers. We'll talk in the morning, Grandma says. Tonight we sleep. Weak legs don't make it down mountains. They share the same bed for warmth. Under the thin blanket, with rain tapping the roof, Tu Tien's mind spins. Relief, fear, gratitude, guilt. She wants to see Jack, to step back into the life they were building, but it hurts to think of leaving this fragile little island of kindness behind. In the middle of the night, her fever spikes. She tosses and mutters. The old woman wakes, crushes medicine, warms water, and lifts her head. Drink this, she whispers, then sleep. Tomorrow will be long. By dawn, the rain has turned to mist. The forest outside looks washed and pale. The old woman is already downstairs, hands stretched to the weak heat from the coals. When Tu Tien wakes, the spot beside her is empty but warm. She pulls on the striped shirt, climbs down the short ladder. Why didn't you call me to help? She asks. You needed sleep, Grandma says. All night you burned like charcoal. Listen, hear that rumbling? Far away, a dull thud carries through the trees. That's the ore mine, the main road still 40 kilometers from here. From there to your home, maybe another 40, 50. Tu Tien's stomach knots. 80, 90 kilometers, she repeats under her breath. For someone who's never traveled alone, it sounds impossibly far. I don't know how to handle the city, she says. I'll just have to ask people along the way. My son probably won't return today, Grandma says quietly. If he were here, I'd ask him to drive you, but it's just us two. It's okay, Tu Tien says, though her legs feel weak. When I get home and see my boyfriend, I'll tell him about you. I'll bring him here to thank you properly. Don't cry anymore, Grandma tells her. We met by fate. Fate will guide you back. Just be patient. Can I drink one more bowl of medicine before I go? Tu Tien asks. It makes me feel stronger. The old woman pours the dark liquid into a small bowl, blows on it, hands trembling just a little. Drink slowly, she says. Bitter medicine helps the most. Tu Tien swallows, grimaces, but finishes it. When Grandma offers rice, she shakes her head. If I eat too much, I'll feel heavy, she explains. I want to move while I still have energy. She puts on her now dry clothes, keeps the striped shirt on top, and slips into the old sandals Grandma finds for her. Wear these, Grandma says. The road is rough. When you get home, go to the clinic. If you don't get better, you know the way back here now. I don't have money to give you, Tu Tien says, eyes stinging. But I won't forget this. If a taxi takes me home, I'll ask my boyfriend to come back and thank you with me. The old woman smiles sadly. My son's been gone for weeks, she says. If he were here, I'd tell him to take you so you don't have to walk. But it's just me waving you off. They stand at the doorway, neither ready to turn away. Then Tu Tien steps forward and hugs her tightly. "Thank you, Grandma," she whispers, "for saving me." "Go, child," Grandma answers, patting her back. "May you reach home safely. May your family be there, waiting." Tu Tien turns and follows the narrow dirt path into the trees. Her sandals crunch softly on damp earth. Mist wraps around her, swallowing her silhouette step by step, until she disappears into the grey, and the little house falls quiet again. Several days pass. The misty morning in the forest already feels like another life, but one thing hasn't changed. Tu Tien still hasn't come home. At the farm, Jack lives on 2 tracks. By day, he runs between the office and construction sites, handling calls about the Min Hung project, signing contracts, reviewing drawings with a face that looks calm but isn't. By night, he drives lonely roads with her photo open on his phone, stopping at markets and crossroads to ask the same question again and again. "Have you seen this woman?" No one has. Every evening he comes back drained, shoes grey with dust, voice rough from calling her name into the dark. Every evening, Mother Ly waits at the door, searching his face for good news that never comes. "Did you eat anything?" she asks one night as he kicks off his shoes. "I'm not hungry," he mutters. "Shower first," she says quietly. "Then come drink some milk. You can't find her if you fall sick first." Under the hot water, his muscles relax, but the knot in his chest doesn't move. When he comes out, hair still damp, Mother is on the wooden bench with a warm glass in her hands. "Headache any better?" she asks. "A little," he lies, taking the glass. He stares at it for a long moment, then his voice drops. "Mum, I always told Tien I'd protect her," he says, "that nothing would happen if she stayed with me. Now she's gone, and I don't even know where to start." "You went to the police," Mother reminds him gently. "You've searched the roads and the farms, everywhere she likes. A person can only do so much." "It doesn't feel like enough," Jack says. "Yesterday I posted her photo everywhere online. Today my staff printed flyers. We stuck them on poles, markets, bus stops. I wrote my number huge, begged people to call. Still nothing." Mother squeezes his shoulder. "You're doing everything you can," she says, "and you're still carrying a company through its biggest project. Your body isn't made of iron." Jack exhales. "The Min Hung contract is signed. The site's moving, but the capital we need is huge. Even with Uncle Dung's help, we're short. I'm raising money, talking to shareholders, pretending to be calm while my head is somewhere else. It feels like I'm standing between 2 cliffs, the project on one side, Tien on the other, trying to hold both with my bare hands." "It's a big storm," Mother agrees. "But you're not alone. Uncle Dung believes in you. Others will too. Think clearly. Don't let fear steer everything." He lets out a humorless laugh. "He just said raise more capital. You're clever. You'll figure it out." And all I can think is, what's the point of building anything if Tien never comes back to see it? "Don't talk like that," Mother says firmly. "We don't know what happened. Maybe she met someone who knew her parents. Maybe she went to look for them. Maybe there's no signal where she is. Until we know, we hold on to hope." "She left without her phone, Mum," Jack says. "No message, no note. If she really wanted to find her parents, she'd tell me, or borrow someone's phone. None of it makes sense." "Tomorrow," Mother answers softly. "Go to work in the morning like normal, then check the old places where Uncle Ly used to live, where she stayed before she met us. Someone there might have seen her." He finishes the milk and stands. Don't go out to the farm anymore, he adds. Let the workers handle it. Finish that back shed, then rest. I'll talk to the merchants. I need you strong. After his bedroom door closes, Mother sits alone on the bench. Her brave expression slips away, leaving only a tired woman staring at the gate, as if familiar footsteps might appear at any minute. The next morning, Mrs. Thu arrives with a small bag of fruit. One look at Mother's eyes and she lowers her voice. Still no news? She asks. Mother shakes her head. Jack is out every night. He barely sleeps. They sit at the table where they usually talk business. What about that land near the bridge? Mrs. Thu asks. The one Jack bought. If we keep it now, there's not much profit, Mother says. He's thinking of selling it to pour everything into Minhung. But that project needs huge capital. My savings are already gone. I don't know if we're doing the right thing. If the land isn't helping now, let him decide, Mrs. Thu says. If he needs more money, I can add some. We'll share the risk. Just tell me when you're ready. Mother nods gratefully, but her eyes drift toward the empty doorway. The project, the land, and now Tien, she murmurs. We tell people she's away, but how do you explain that your daughter simply vanished? That afternoon, Jack parks outside a modest house with peeling paint and a rusty gate. He hasn't been here since the early days, when Tu Tien brought him to visit the uncle who once gave her a place to stay. The gate squeaks as he pushes it open. Inside, Uncle Luke steps onto the porch, surprised. Jack, he says, long time no see. Come in. Where's Tien? You didn't bring her? That's why I'm here, Jack answers quietly. They sit at a low table. Uncle pours tea, the familiar scent of green leaves rising between them. How's your health? Jack asks. Still breathing? Uncle smiles. My wife's coming home for Tet, so the house won't be so quiet. And you too? How's Tu Tien? Haven't seen her since you took her that day. Jack swallows. Uncle, after the last harvest, she went out one morning and didn't come home, he says. At first, we thought she'd just gone to the market. Then one day became two. I checked everywhere she usually goes. We reported her missing. The police are helping, but there's still no trace. I came to ask if you've seen her or heard anything. Uncle's smile fades. No, he says. She hasn't been here? Not once. Not even a phone call. I thought you two were just busy at the farm. She has no close relatives left, Jack says. We wondered if someone from her past found her or if she went looking for her parents. But if that were true, why no call? Her phone's been off the whole time. Every time I dial, it feels like hitting a wall. Uncle lets out a long breath. Tien is tougher than she looks, he says. Life's hit her hard and she's still standing. Maybe she's stuck somewhere, but I don't believe she'll give up easily. Keep looking. People disappear for a few days and come back with a wild story more often than you think. I want to believe that, Jack admits. But the more doors I knock on and the more people say, no news, the harder it is to keep believing. He stands and bows slightly. If you see her or hear anything, please call me, he says, sliding his phone number across the table. Uncle types it into his handset. Bring her back when you find her, he says. We'll cook something nice. This house misses her laugh. I hope I can keep that promise, Jack says. On the way back, the late afternoon sun turns the fields outside his window to gold. Kids ride bicycles home, women sort vegetables by the road, smoke rises from kitchen fires. To anyone else, it looks like an ordinary day. When Jack pulls into the yard, Mother is sitting on the porch with a cup of tea gone cold between her hands. One look at his face and she already knows. No news? she asks. He shakes his head. It's like she walked off the map. Mother pats the space beside her. Sit, she says. You can go back out later. Right now, just breathe. Jack sits next to her, staring at the narrow road leading away from their gate, toward town, toward the hills, toward all the places he's already searched, and all the places he hasn't reached yet. Where are you, Tien? He thinks. Are you scared? Are you hurt? Or are you out there somewhere trying to come back, just waiting for someone to see you? Far away, in a wooden house hidden among trees, an old woman sometimes stands in her doorway, eyes on the empty path where a girl in a striped shirt once disappeared into the mist. She tells herself the girl will return one day with the young man she kept talking about, to say thank you. Back at the farm, under a dim porch light, a mother and son sit side by side, pretending to discuss land and projects, while both silently count the days since Tu Tien vanished, holding hope in one hand and a growing, quiet fear in the other. In this episode, Tu Tien wakes up in a tiny wooden house deep in the forest, cared for by a lonely old woman who gives her food, medicine, and warm clothes before sending her back toward home through the mist. At the same time, several days pass at the farm with no sign of her return. Jack is torn between launching the massive Min Hung project and searching everywhere for the woman he promised to protect. He reports her missing, posts her photo online, prints flyers, and questions everyone who might have seen her, but hears only no news. Even as business partners offer capital and support, Jack visits Uncle Luke, hoping for a clue, only to learn she never came. The episode ends with Jack and his mother sitting in quiet worry, clinging to hope while fear slowly grows.